Hi, it's Brandy from When Down Syndrome Meets Autism, and I wanted to let you know that Dale bowled his very first strike over the weekend. It was so exciting. It was like the best thing ever. But I also wanted to get into this video because this is going to be a series about traveling with a child that has special needs. And I worked for American Airlines for a long time, and needless to say, Dale and I traveled a lot during that time because we could fly for free. It was standby, which wasn't the greatest thing for a child that needs a schedule, but we did travel a lot. And we had some great flights, but we also had some flights that were straight from the bowels of hell. And I wanted to make sure whenever we were awarded a dream trip from the Dream Factory a few months ago that everything went smoothly. So I put in countless hours of research into how to make the best flight and the best trip possible. And I think that all of that really paid off because everything was smooth sailing and it was great. So I know a lot of parents shy away from traveling because honestly, what can be worse than having a horrible self-abusive meltdown 6 miles above the earth in a metal tube with 200 strangers around you staring at you? I mean, there's no place to go. There's no place to run away to. There's no way to calm your child down. And I was terrified of that happening. So the first thing I started to do when I knew that we were going to take our trip was I started to research. And our plane tickets were through Southwest. And I found out that Southwest was quite a bit more laid back than the other airlines. And it actually worked out great. I wanted to make sure that we were completely and totally relaxed when we got to the airport. Because Dale is like a lot of other kids, he feeds off us. And if I'm just pissed off and mad and frustrated, he's going to be that same way. So I wanted to be so well prepared that when we got to the airport, everything went smoothly. And I think that we got that way. I also wanted to do my research so I knew what to expect whenever we got there because I hadn't flown Southwest in years. So I found out that you could check 2 bags for free, that you could also carry on a bag. You could also check your medical devices for free, and you could carry on food and whatever you needed along with that, and that people needing special assistance, children, and disabled adults can pre-board. So that meant regardless of what boarding group we were in, whenever they called for pre-boarding, boom, we could go right up there and get on the plane. So both times on the way to Florida and on the way from Florida, we were the first people on the flight. We also were able to get the very first row of seats, which meant that there was a bulkhead up against us, and Dale had a little bit of extra leg room and wiggle room. And it also meant, very, very importantly, Dale wasn't going to be kicking some poor dude trying to sleep in front of us. And that was one of the things I really wanted to make sure wouldn't happen. Because I've flown a lot in my life, and I've had a lot of kids that have just been spawns. And I wanted to make sure that Dale was, loving and happy and everything was good on the plane. So we did that and everything went really well. I also wanted to make sure that we were super uber prepared for anything that was going to come up on the plane. And regardless of where we go, I usually carry a backpack with us. And I make sure that we have whatever we could possibly need in that backpack. And even if we don't use it, hey, it's in there in case we need it, right? So the backpack, I always hang our helmet on. That way if he does have a meltdown, I can protect his head. There's also, the normal things in there. I make sure that there's extra pull-ups, there's wipes, there's 1 or 2 extra sets of clothes for him, there's hand sanitizer, just little things like that. I also made sure that we had medication, Tylenol, all of his nebulizer equipment, just in case we needed it. I didn't want to put that in our checked bags, just in case they ended up, going to Kalamazoo instead of Orlando. Because you never know. I mean, accidents like that do happen. So, most importantly, too, I wanted to make sure that there was food and entertainment in the bag. Because I don't think any child is going to have an easy time sitting on a plane for 2 hours without something to do there. So, I packed his Nobby. I packed a couple of books for him to look at. I packed some good snacks for him, some drinks for him. And then, of course, the flight attendant comes through immediately and serves juice or soda or whatever there and some pretzels. So he was able to nibble and snack and able to play with some stuff. And I made sure too, this was something I didn't think about until the last minute, but I made sure that the things I did take on the plane for him to play with weren't really loud, because I was thinking about it, and I think people would probably mutiny if I took his drum set or, one of his books that sings the same song over and over and over on there, because I thought, gosh, we could probably hear Elmo's song 110 times before we landed in Orlando, and I can tune it out, but I don't think a lot of other people can. So I made sure that the things that I took either could have earphones or they were quiet. Also, one of the things I make sure that we always have, regardless of where we go, is one of these suckers, and it's a Chewy. These are so good because Dale's really orally sensitive, and he used to be a biter when he was a baby. But these things the kids put in their mouth and they chew on. And that chewing sensation helps calm them down. So when Dale's starting to have a meltdown, I can slip one of these in his mouth and he starts chewing on it. And it seems like it focuses his attention. And you can see him just automatically calming down. And it works great. And I also knew that Dale has a lot of ear problems, and he's had a lot of ear infections and issues like that over his lifetime. So I have flown before where my ears have hurt the whole time. So I knew that the chewing sensation would help equalize his ears during takeoff and landing. So I made sure we had 2 or 3 Chewies in his bag, and that way he had something to chew on during that time. And also they just come in handy for anything. So Chewies, fantastic thing. If you don't have one, or if you've never tried one, look into it. Your child might really, really like them. They come in a bunch of different shapes and sizes and strengths, and they come in smooth and bumpy and all sorts of different things. So they're a really, really good invention. So we had a few of those in his bag. We had a few lollipops and suckers and things like that. We also had some of his favorite lovey toys in there, like his little blanket that he likes to twiddle on, his owl, which is a alligator that's about that long that he can hug up to, and those were things just to help make him feel safe. So I think that was about it as far as the necessities that we had to have on the bag. I think I put like a towel and a washcloth in there too, just in case we had an accident or spit up or just something like that. I wanted to make sure I was super prepared. Other than that, I think that was about it. The most important things were, the clothes, the pull-ups, the wipes, the Chewy, the food, the entertainment, those kind of things. Just to make sure that the flight is just as simple and as easy as it possibly can be. Take advantage of pre-boarding if you fly. That made everything so much easier. And one thing I found out too, TSA was fantastic. All I had to do was stay calm. Dale was in his wheelchair at the time, so they took us through into a different line. They had to pat Dale down and stand him up out of his wheelchair and then sit him back down in it. That was fine, just as long as everything went smoothly. But we got to the airport in plenty of time to where we didn't have to worry about being rushed. We didn't have to worry about getting upset. We didn't have to worry about getting stressed out. And I think that was the main part to make things go a little bit smoother. The flight home, I was a little wound up because I really didn't want to leave. I loved Florida so much, and I'd been sobbing for 2 days. So that one was a little bit more stressful, but it still went really smoothly, and we still stayed really prepared, and everything went fine. So as long as you keep your kids entertained, full, happy, dry, they're happy. So I wish you much, much luck if you decide to take a trip. And we're planning on trying to take another vacation in a couple months, and I will report back on how it is. The next video that I want to make in this series is about the resort that we stayed at while we were in Florida and about the actual wish process. The Dream Factory was the most amazing, amazing organization that I have ever worked with. And I can't ever thank them enough for everything that they did for us. I hope that you have a wonderful, wonderful day, and thank you so much for tuning in. And I will see you very, very soon. Have a wonderful day.